Hey trainers, Hamm here with some more Pokemon video magic. This is the video for our first round of the semifinals in the Summer Hamm Pokemon Go tournament. So we have ToCool versus Bvill. These two advanced from the preliminary round. Preliminary round? You know what I'm trying to say here. From the initial round. This time they both agreed to play in the Great League, and so we are going to have these two trainers facing off against one another, and we have this nice nighttime background going, which I think is pretty great. I'm loving the environmental updates here. Okay, so we have Mew versus, and this is from ToCool's perspective, versus Azumarill, and it is a shiny Azumarill, which is pretty cool. Going for the no shield is risky because a lot of people run Wild Charge on Mew, but ToCool called the bait and was right. Did not get hit with a Wild Charge there, so that's pretty good. Looks like we're running Play Rough and Ice Beam here, so a lot of coverage against potential opponents, and Azumarill gets to Ice Beam pretty fast, so it is able to crank out a fair amount of damage here. We do see a shield coming up from Bvill. Not quite ready to give up the Mew just yet. Oh, and making an aggressive swap into Raichu. Did a fair amount of damage with those Thunder Shocks before ToCool was able to switch out, but unfortunately Thunder Punches are not going to do anything to this Galarian Stunfisk. Running Brick Break as a secondary charge move might be a good idea for Raichu. That way you get a little bit of offense on some of those challenging counters like Galarian Stunfisk. So the Stunfisk will be going for the low-hanging fruit using the Rock Slide, putting the Raichu in farm down range, and then just building up a little more energy. And the last Pokemon is a Latias. That is very cool. Definitely don't see those in the Great League very often. Rock Slide would be doing a lot of damage there, though. Or is it just neutral? I guess it's probably just neutral because of the dragon typing. So ToCool goes for Earthquake, and Earthquake is not usually effective against dragon types because dragons are often part flying. But it looks like Latias is... Wow, that was an outrage. That's pretty cool to see that in the Great League. And okay, so there is a charge move stored on Mew. So charge move coming through, we do see a shield from ToCool and Mud Shot down? Yeah, Mud Shot down. So that was the last Pokemon, probably could have just thrown a Rock Slide and that would have worked out okay, but the Mud Shot maybe ended the match a little bit faster because then you don't have to worry about the animation from some of those other attacks. Looks like ToCool is switching up the team a little bit here. We've got Galarian Stunfisk on the lead this time. We'll see what Bvill does to counter Galarian Stunfisk into Houndoom. Terrible matchup for Bvill, great matchup for ToCool. Houndoom will take super effective damage from both Rock and Earth, and we see a switch into a Swampert. Swampert is a really great safe swap. It does so well against so many different Pokemon, and that is a good shield coming from ToCool there because a lot of folks who run Swampert in the Great League have Sludge Wave on it, which will almost one-shot an Azumarill. Is this running Water Gun? Yeah, it looks like this particular Swampert is running Water Gun instead of Mud Shot. So that's pretty interesting, going for the water type damage there instead of the earth type damage. Don't see that very often. It probably takes just a couple of seconds longer to charge moves, but then you also get more fast move damage that way, so that's pretty cool. We come back to the Houndoom. That's kind of interesting because, of course, Houndoom is very weak to Azumarill as well. Crunch is going to be resisted because of the fairy typing on the Azumarill. But maybe whatever Bvill has in the back is going to be very weak to the rest of ToCool's team, and they are just trying to chip damage from the Azumarill. Okay, and it is an Entei. Wow, going with the legendary Pokemon pretty hard. I really love this showcase from Bvill because seeing these legendary Pokemon in the Great League is very cool. Charge move is coming through, and ToCool decides to shield. I think that makes a lot of sense because the Azumarill has a very good matchup against Entei, going for an Ice Beam to try and get that final shield. And okay, so Bvill kind of knew what was coming, saw the writing on the wall, and decided to just let that one go. But that was a nicely played game. As it turns out, ToCool had multiple hard counters for at least 2 of the 3 players on Bvill's team, so there wasn't much he could do with that particular match. All right, coming back to what is one of ToCool's signature Pokemon now, the Double Legacy Dugong, and it comes up against a Scyther. Scyther is another very neat Pokemon to see in the Battle League, one of those original 151 that's really fun to see come up there, and then switches into an Alolan Raichu. Alolan Raichu may have some offense against the Stunfisk if it has Grass Knot, or Psychic, right? Yeah. So Psychic, not very effective, but it's definitely going to do more than an electric attack. And there's still maybe something like Grass Knot on the Raichu, so I guess we won't get the chance to see because Bvill decided to go ahead and let it go, which makes a lot of sense if you have a Swampert ready to go. You're probably not going to win switch in that situation anyway, so you want to just come in with your hardest counter. Now, Bvill is in a tough position because it is now 2 shields to 0. This Rock Slide isn't going to do very much, though, so ToCool might be putting himself in a position to just get farmed down by that Swampert, which is going to give it massive energy. Okay, so Swampert absolutely loaded up on energy here. Probably going to be taking some shields from ToCool. Yeah, that Earthquake would have done a pretty massive amount of neutral damage. But unfortunately, the shield situation is pretty difficult to overcome. Azumarill using the Ice Beam there, and we might see another shield here. I'm not exactly sure what moves are on Scyther, if it has access to any grass-type moves. Looks like maybe not. Looks like flying here. Aerial Ace is a flying-type move. But it is weak to ice, so this is going to be taking out the Scyther. And there we go. ToCool finishing with all 3 Pokemon intact, which is very impressive there. That's very good shield management and energy management. Really bad luck for Bvill because he consistently loses the lead, which makes it very, very tough to come back. Okay, oh my. All right, we have Shadow Mewtwo on the lead versus a Tauros. Tauros is kind of interesting. Looks like it had Zen Headbutt, which would have been resisted on the Mewtwo. Shadow Mewtwo is staying in and going for a Psychic, even though Alolan Raichu is a Psychic type. That Shadow damage is going to be enough to KO, definitely. Also, because Mewtwo is a Shadow here, it's going to be taking a lot more damage. It is very, very glassy, so it cannot take a charge move. Okay, Tauros coming back in, not going to be able to farm down in time because those Zen Headbutts are resisted, and that terrifying looking Mewtwo gets its charge move through, and Swampert is able to snipe the Mewtwo, so that's pretty good for Bvill there. Unfortunately, I don't think there's much that Swampert can do up against Altaria, so the Pokemon were kind of stacked against Bvill again here. He let the charge move through, which works out fine because even if there was a shield, it was going to get farmed down by Dragon Breath. So again, not much to do in that situation. It's been pretty tough. Once again, looks like Bvill probably lost the lead here. That is a really unfortunate. Oh, actually, this might be more neutral than I thought it was. They're both kind of doing resisted damage, and the fighting type moves, I guess, are resisted because Claydol is Psychic. I don't see Claydol very often, so I'm not entirely sure what the potential moveset is. Wow, Earthquake. Okay. So we see an aggressive swap into Miss Magius. I do not see Miss Magius like ever, so this is definitely a spicy play. But Bvill comes in with the Raichu, probably thinking about its electric typing, but it is, as an Alolan Raichu, part psychic type. So that means it will be taking super effective damage from these fast moves and charge moves coming from Miss Magius. So we may see another shield going up here from Bvill. What's going to happen? Nope, decides to let the Raichu go and comes in with the Swampert. Should be able to farm down. Yeah, Swampert getting a lot of energy there. And yeah, so ToCool has all the energy stored up on Obstagoon. Not sure why ToCool didn't go for the Night Slash against Claydol earlier, because Night Slash would have been super effective against a Psychic type. But hey, I mean, he stored up that energy, was able to get the final shield, and now he comes in with a Blastoise. Yeah, that's probably a good idea to shield there, because we know that this Swampert has Earthquake, and Earthquake would do a lot of neutral damage. Bvill switches back in with the Claydol, and we do see a charge move coming through, so this is a dangerous situation for ToCool. Yeah, Earthquake doing a lot of damage, and the confusions. Oh man, I really thought that Bvill had it clinched there. I thought the confusions were going to do it. Oh man, but it just fed energy to the Blastoise, so Blastoise was able to get to that Ice Beam there. So very nicely played from both trainers. Of course, Bvill lost pretty much every lead, and so that does make for a very difficult time if you're trying to come back from that. I certainly wouldn't want to be in that situation. Both trainers did really great work. ToCool does an excellent job with energy management, and then Bvill, I think, does really well with making swaps, trying to catch moves, making decisions about when to let things go and bring things in, being able to swap in and kind of snipe players from the opponent. So I think Bvill's strategy was on point, but came up unlucky with a lot of lost leads and hard counters there. And also, I want to give congratulations to ToCool for moving on to the finals round, and I hope that all of you will stay tuned to see the other semifinals round, and we'll take a look at who is advancing between Swiftacoon and Deciphasistas, and whoever wins that round will face ToCool in the finals, and of course receive a free GoFest 2021 pass. So I hope to see you there. If you enjoyed this content, please think about giving me a like and subscribing to the page if you're not yet a subscriber. It would be great to hear more from you, and I appreciate your support. I'll see you next time, trainers.